Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Harmony Spiritual Center. Thanks to all of you who are here in person and those of you who are watching us online right now or later. Thank you so much for being here. We are Harmony Spiritual Center. We are a New Thought Center. And what that means is that we encourage us all to live our lives as one, connected to one another, the God in all of us, the divinity in all of us connecting us. And as we change our minds and have a new thought about whatever it is we are attempting to do, that is how we move forward in our lives on the planet, changing our minds and having different thoughts about what we thought was true, and always, always challenging the truth. What is the truth? And so that's who we are, Harmony Spiritual Center. We are a teaching center, and we come here to show each other, to teach, to learn, to experience spirituality. We are more spiritual than religious. And we talk about how our spirituality, we utilize it every single day, every moment of the day, to have the best life possible in each moment. That's who we are, and that's what we do. So welcome, and thank you for being here. Last week was Easter week, and I missed it being here with you all. I did have an opportunity to listen to the message from Reverend Glenn Moore. It was beautiful, and I don't quite remember what the title was, but his point was that for us, and I believe he was talking about his idea and his perception of the resurrection, and that was living above the human reality and into that spiritual reality, the true reality of life. And it is hard to do when you're hanging on a cross. That was his human reality at the time. But he rose above that to recognize what the truth was and what he was there to do, to show us the truth, that we are more than conquerors over death and everything else in our lives. So whatever we want, we can conquer and have what it is that we put out in our minds and our hearts to do. To live from our hearts is what he was talking about. To live from our true place, our divinity. And so it was a beautiful talk, and I completely agree, although I didn't need to agree for it to be true. It is true, but I also agree. It resonated with me as well. So my talk today is about what is ours to do. And as I was thinking about the talk, what is ours to do, I want to go back and talk about why, number one, I'm always saying, just hammering to myself and to you and to everyone, what is yours to do? What is mine to do? That is the question in our lives every day as we're going through and we're living in this human experience and we're looking to live above that. It's always asking ourselves the question, what is mine to do? And so I took a moment and asked the Googler, what does anybody else say that? What does that mean? What does it mean to anyone else? What is mine to do? Well, when I looked it up, it turns out that is a part of the Stoic philosophy. A Stoic philosophy. So let me read to you what one Stoic philosopher said about that. His name was Epictetus. He's a Greek Stoic philosopher, and he said, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that you can say clearly to yourself which locus of control are external and not under my control, and which are internal, which are under my control, and allows me to make the choices that I actually have control over. Where then do you look for the good? Not to uncontrollable externals, but within yourself to the choices that are your own. What that means then is, that's why I keep asking, what is mine to do? Because we get wrapped up a lot in, what is going on over there, what's happening here, these people over there, Okay, and perhaps we can get involved in all of that. But the beginning question is, what is yours to do? What do you have the power to control? And not control as in to bring it down, but to do something about. What is in your area of control? And when you look at that, it's how you know what's in your area of control to begin is to know what you care about. What matters to you? What do you value? Because those are the things that you will have control over. You have decided that this is something that matters to me and I'm going to have control over it. We talk about it at the beginning of the year to revisit what our values are and what we believe. Because those are the things, that's what's going to motivate us to do something. That's what's going to motivate us to create our lives, to say, this is the life I want, by being very clear about what it is that matters to us. So I want to share with you the story from yesterday, but yesterday I did yesterday is Saturday, yeah. Yesterday I did a memorial service, and I want to talk a little bit about that. But let me get back to the locus of control, which means what are you in control of? What motivates you? When we understand what we believe and what we value, this is what moves us through our lives. So, for instance, I ask you at the beginning of the year to think about what your top 5 values are. And when you think about what they are and you have that in mind, and you could have 10, 20, 30, but I ask you to keep your top 5 in mind because this is what's going with you as you move throughout the day. As you move throughout the day, you can keep those 5. Actually, we can keep 7 things in our head at once. So I said 5, and actually I cheat and do 6 because I can't keep it to 5. But I can't do it. But my 5 are George. In order. It's George. It is authenticity. It is it's courage. It's family. It's unconditional love. Tribe. Those are the things that matter to me. And the reason why I keep it in mind is because as I'm moving through my day, that's how I decide what I'm going to get involved in. So I was that's a different story. I'll tell this story. That makes a different point. This story makes this point. So I was over in Thailand. I was in Thailand and raising some funds, and I got a chance to perform with my old band and some new people that I hadn't performed with. One of the women that I performed with before, she's a wonderful, wonderful singer. She's a young woman. She's like 25 years old, young Thai woman, and she's a drummer. She's a great musician, and she's a great singer. And so they drafted her to not only perform, but also to be the MC for the night, which included a lot of things, making sure the band got out on time, including me, because I'm sitting back there just chit-chatting in the back, and she's like, hey, oh, sorry. So she had to do all of that, and then she had to talk with the person who was actually putting it on to make sure that he was happy, that things were happening. She had to make sure the auctioneer was on time. She had to do a lot of things, as well as backup singing from the back. She didn't come out front, just from the back. She was adding harmonies in the background, and she also had 3 songs that she was singing in each set. We had 3 sets. She was singing 3 songs. So we were rehearsing. So this before the thing started, we rehearsed for a couple of hours. Her song that she loves, and I love too, is a great song. It's called Thunderstruck, and it's by AC/DC. We love it. The crowd loves it. It's a great crowd song. So we started practicing the song, and so the band is there. She and I are at the stage out there. Band's going. Her face is getting crazy, and she's looking at me. I'm like, what's the problem? She goes, it's too slow. It's too slow. And I said, oh, okay, well. And so I told the guitarist, hey, can you speed it up? It's too slow. So he starts playing a little faster, and she's still looking crazy, and she's looking at me, and I'm saying, it's still too slow. She goes, it's too slow. And so he's trying. He said, I can't do it. I can't play it that fast. Let me take these off, making too much noise. She said, I can't play it that fast. And so she was crestfallen. And he said, well, I guess we're going to have to scrap it. And I said, we're absolutely not scrapping this song. Here's what we're going to do. I'm in a deep PJ mode. Here's what we're going to do. The bass player is going to play the guitar. Guitar player, you go over and play the bass. Because I knew the bass player could play the guitar. So he went over there, he started playing, and really playing the song. And I said, is that fast enough for you? She said, yes, that's great. And so we did the song. Loved it, loved it. So here's the point. What was mine to do? That's what I was asking. The reason why I stepped in is because this girl is wonderful, but she's also shy, and she doesn't know how great she is. So she wasn't going to step up and stand up for herself. And the guy who couldn't play it, he was very easy for him to say, oh, no, I'm not playing it. We're just going to scrap it. And didn't even think about how that was going to hurt her, how that was something she was looking for, and all the things she was doing to support us. They didn't think about it. And no, it wasn't I'm not saying he wasn't a good person or anything like it. He is a good person. But that wasn't a top priority for him. Do you understand? That wasn't his to do. It was mine to do, to step up and make sure that she got treated well. So what's yours to do? You see what I mean? The point is this. You can't do everything. Not only do we have to know what we value, what's important to us, we have to know, and what we believe, we also have to know what we're going to spend our time on. Because even in those 6 things that matter to me, that are my highest values, I don't have time for all of them all the time. We all have to make decisions. Do I have enough time? Am I emotionally involved in this? Do I have the energy? There's all kinds of, she and I were trying to put our calendars together. We're supposed to do something and we couldn't do it. It's like, oh my God, oh, that's not gonna work. Nope, let's flip to the next month. We're all busy and we really want to do it. All of us have those challenges in our lives, right? So it makes it easier for us when we know what is important. And we keep those things at the top of our head so that here's what I want. Here's what I'm striving to do. Maybe you're doing the same. Is that when I come to the end of my life, and hopefully it's far off, but when I come to the end of my life, I've lived the life well. I've lived the life that I wanted to live. And how do I know that? See, because life goes on. Every day is adding up to your whole life. I think I was talking to you earlier, and we were talking about your daughter, who didn't want to take a job because it's going to be 3 years long. And the thing is, I was on a job for 5 years and couldn't believe it. It's like, when the heck did the time go? Because time goes by fast. I don't know about you, but I mean, I can't believe how long I've been here at Harmony. It seems like just yesterday I got here, and time goes by fast. So time goes by fast, and your life will be over. Have you lived the life and done the things and loved the people and made the difference that you wanted to make? This is how we do that, by making sure that we know who we are. I'm doing this because of the values, +1. That we know who we are, that we know what's important to us, that we know what we value, and we spend our time on that, because that's where we can make a difference. I can't make a difference in everything. I can do one, and so this is another story. I'll come back to that one in a minute. I have so many stories. I gotta focus these stories, and so that's the reason why we want to do that. We want to be sure that we're living the life that we say we want, that we're being the person who we say we are, by finding out and how we know what is ours to do. How we know what is ours to do. When I wanted to share the story about yesterday about the poem or the memorial that I was going to do, because this was about when you are thinking about what is yours to do and what you value and what's the right thing. You can talk yourself into something because we're very smart, right? I mean, we're logical. We can reason anything, and we can rationalize anything. But when you want to know what is the true thing to do, you have to ask your heart. These are matters of the heart. What matters to you, what you value, you have to go to your heart to know that. Because we can talk about what we think we should value. It doesn't matter what we think we should value. It's about what we actually value. We might think that we're supposed to value family because everybody says that's important. but I don't really care about this family. And I might need to create my own. So it's not necessarily about family for me. It might be about tribe. I don't know. But the heart speaks. And we have to become comfortable with hearing that and knowing that's the truth. When Glenn talked about rising above humanity and living in this place, in this spiritual place, he's talking about living from the heart, knowing even though this human thing was happening, what he really wanted to do, what was really going on, that he was helping us to know what he already knew, that we were more than conquerors and we could conquer death. And that's why he did that. That's what was of value to him. So knowing what you need to know by going to your heart and not listening to your mind, the story that I want to share with you. So I was asked to do a memorial for a lovely woman who I did not know. And she wasn't the one who I was doing the memorial for, I was doing it for her husband. I didn't know him either. I did it because they were friends of artists. And artists, as she does, was speaking very highly of me to this woman. And so she called and asked me to do the memorial. And I said, okay. But she didn't want any kind of religious stuff going on. She goes, no, because I have different family members, and if we start talking religion, then we might have some fighting going on. And so don't be doing that. Just come and, say a few words. Just say a few words, but don't get religious. I said, okay. So I'm looking for some stuff, and I'm looking at poems, I'm looking at readings, and I'm looking at things to talk about. And I in my mind, I'm reading some things, and logically I said, okay, there's like these 4 right here seem like one of these will work. And so I printed them off and was looking at them thinking, yeah, I like this one right here because this one's about talking about death, and death is not a big deal, whatever. And this is the one that's gonna work. But Spirit said, no, yeah, that'll work. But this is the one do this one. And it was called God of the Open Air. God of the Open Air. And I said, all right, because I listened. So I got there, and I was the second person. I was, after the harp player, or the classical guitarist, then I spoke. I just got up and did this, it was a poem, and I asked the audience to think that this is the deceased. These are his words. And then I spoke the poem. And then I walked off, and that's it. In my mind, I'm thinking, nobody knows this poem. This poem was written in the 1700s. Nobody understands this. So I'm talking to myself and thinking this is not the right thing. Sit on down. It was a wonderful memorial in a beautiful garden. After it was finished, I can't tell you how many people came up to me and said what a beautiful and perfect poem it was. That the guy was an outdoorsman. I didn't know him. He was an outdoorsman. He loved fishing and boating and all kinds of things. And they wanted to know where they could find the poem. I never would have picked that poem. It was a beautiful poem. And you can look it up, God of the Open Air. It's really beautiful. I never would have done it. But that's what Spirit told me to do. Here's why I know. If you've ever watched Big Chill, The Big Chill, and if you haven't watched it, it's a great old movie with great songs in it. There's a scene with, I think it's William Hurt. Is that who's in it? Is it William Hurt? William Hurt and Jeff Goldblum, and they're sitting on the couch. And Jeff Goldblum explaining something to William Hurt. He's going on. I hear how he talks fast with his hands, and he's going on. And so he stops for a second, and William Hurt says, now why does everything you just said sound like a rationalization to me? And Jeff Goldblum says, hey, don't knock a rationalization. Rationalizations are more important than sex. And William Hurt says, come on now. And he said, well, think about it. When's the last time you rationalized something? He said, okay. And when's the last time you had sex? Right? So we can rationalize anything. That is we can logically say, I logically thought the other poem would be better. But it wasn't. And my heart said to this one, it's always right. Your heart is always right. Believe me. And you don't have to believe me. I don't ever ask you actually to believe me. I'm asking you to experiment with what I'm telling you. Always. What I'm saying to you, you can try it. This is an experiment about life. Try it. See if it works for you. I have another friend. I'm going to tell you this one story because it was so great, and I wasn't going to tell you today, but I love it, and I just need to tell you. Because it's again about George, and the same things that I'm saying right now that I tell you. I have a friend overseas, and she watches online. And I'm always saying, find and get yourself a personal relationship with George, or whatever you call that, which is greater than yourself. However you hear that, I hear it as a voice. I'm just talking like I'm talking to you. But however you hear it, see it, whatever, have that for yourself and know. So she's from South Africa, and her son wants to be a music producer. So they came to the U.S. and took him to a school in Tennessee and left him there to doing this. I think he got a scholarship or an internship for 6 months, and he's going to do something else for 6 months. So she was her only child. And her and her husband took him there. And so she had to come back to her home because they had a business, and she had to do it. Well, her husband stayed there for another week to make sure the son was settled in. So she's heading to the airport in Tennessee. She's heading to the airport, tears running down her face. She's just leaving her only son. And so she says, I can't. She's talking to George, and I can't remember what she actually calls him, and she might even call him George. She said, I can't do this by myself. I need your help. I can't make it. I can't leave him. I don't know what to do. So she's driving to the airport, tears on her face, and she's in line in the queue to check her bags in. And she sees this woman, and there's a whole bunch. She's the one. She says, whatever you do, don't send me to this woman, because her face is terrible. I don't think I can handle her. And of course, where did she go? Right to that person. And so she comes up to the person, and the person said, because she's crying, her face is all red, and the woman says, what's the matter, love? But she says it in Afrikaans. The woman is South African. She says it in Afrikaans. But she's so upset, she didn't catch what she said at first. And the woman repeated it again, and she said, what's the matter? And she realized, oh, wait a minute, she's speaking Afrikaans. And so she told her, she said, oh, I'm just so upset. I left my son. He's in a city. And she said, where's your son at? She told her what city. It's the same city this woman lives in. She said, here's my phone number. Give this information to your son. If he needs anything, have him call me. I will be there for him. She said, okay. She said, and I'm going to put you on this plane in this seat. I'm going to with the one that has the exit thing on, so you have more room. And I'm going to cross out this seat so nobody can sit next to you, because you don't need to have anybody next to you while you're feeling like this. So she put her on a full plane, but she put her in a place where she could be in her feelings while she was gone. All right, great. She got on the plane, because she didn't think she was going to. By the way, I'm sorry. She didn't think she was going to make the flight. But not only did she make the flight, she got a great seat. She's on the plane. She took off. She gets back, and her husband gets back home, hears from her son, and he's in Tennessee. He doesn't know about the South. So he's coming off the freeway, and as soon as you come off the freeway in some towns, the speed limit changes immediately. And so he's flying off, and they pull him over. He has an international driver's license. The cop doesn't understand what that is. So they took the car. They took the car, and he had to go to court. Now, my girlfriend said she wasn't going to tell her son about this woman, but she did. She gave him, and so he called her. The woman came, picked him up, took him to court, talked to the judge for him, got him off, took him back home, helped him pick up his car, get it out of jail. She did everything. This is what Spirit will do for you. All she said was, I can't do it. You have to help me. And he went right up to someone who helped her all the way. Do you understand? So I'm telling you, you don't have to take my word for it. She took my word for it, and she tried it. And she told me the story about what happened. You'll have the same stories. You probably already do. You probably already do. These are truths. So what is ours to do? I went around to what's yours to do, to know what it is. What is ours to do? We don't know, we can't know what ours is to do until you know what yours is to do. Yeah? Right? Because we are a family. This is Harmony Spiritual Center. And each one of us gets to say what we do next. What's the next chapter for Harmony? Well, what is it for you? What does it mean to you? Think about that. I'm asking you to think about that. What do we want to do? Where do you want to go next? What is ours to do? Because whatever it is, we're going to do it together. We're going to do it together. That's who we are. So I'll leave you with this. Where does joy, true joy, come from? This is from another Stoic philosopher, Seneca. Joy comes from a good conscience, from honorable purposes, from right actions, from contempt of the gifts of chance, from an even and calm way of living which treads but one path, control of yourself and your affairs by a guiding purpose. What is your guiding purpose? Therefore, we should decide what we wish and abide by that decision. What is ours to do? Know what matters and why, and you will know what is ours to do. And so it is.